I'm here with Hawk, tank of the Atlanta Rain, at an interesting time, just a couple of weeks before, the ProAm starts, and then a couple of more weeks until the season starts. And we wanted to catch up. I'll let you in on a little bit of a secret. The primary reason why I reached out to you is because a lot of Overwatch League, let's call them insiders, because I don't think they would want to have this out open, but thought that you had always like really level-headed balance takes, especially on the tank roles. So I thought, why not talk to him directly? So, how has the off season treated you so far?
Um, the off season's it's always fast at first and it gets really slow. Um, I like in the years past I've not always been part of the off season, like the helping like get players, but this year um with like the coaching change and like the structure change, uh I was really like asked to like help like find players and pretty much like just reach out to them so like to feel comfortable coming to our team and uh just make sure everyone like just build the best roster we could. And I feel like we did that. And I think it's just due to like just like open communication between the management, the coaching, and me and Vigilante because we were on the roster still, and it was just like it was a stressful like few weeks, but it got done. But then like um just been like I don't know, just been working on myself, just doing stuff that I enjoy. Not just like I feel like I've been in the league for like 4 years now. Like unless I'm grinding monkey and ball, my mechanics aren't gonna get like significantly like insane or much better. So I feel like just working on other aspects of myself. I'm like a better teammate, better leader, and be a happier person is probably just like the best option to like get me to the spot where I need to be to win next year or this year.
For sure. Okay, there were a couple of interesting points I gotta ask. The first one that you hit upon is that you have like an elevated responsibility there, right? With I think like it's fair to say that you probably have a special relationship to Gator, just because like you guys were a tank duo for the longest time, right? And like you
hmm
guys had to recruit pretty much an entire team other than Vigilante. So can you talk about like what kind of players do you think either were like someone that you pushed for or someone that you convinced? Like who's your guy basically?
Mm, let's start off with Stalker. That was the first movie one I think we made. Like we just um we didn't know if that was possible, but then it eventually did. I think a lot of it came down to just like Vigilante being friends with a lot of players. Like honestly, like he's friends with a lot of players, and um he's a nice guy, and he just I don't know, like he just like he's that guy to like help get the ball rolling, I guess. And yeah, but I guess I mean I want everyone. Like I mean I want everyone. There's not a single player I didn't want, and there's and that's usually because I feel like I'm pretty good at like judging players. I don't know. I'm not easily impressed by like players' mechanics um or their skills. Like usually, like but I know when like I feel like I know when someone's good, and I feel like Gator does too. So it was just kind of like a easy thing, you know.
Right. Now, you guys build a team around yourself that's technically, I mean, from the outside, a little bit of an uphill battle, at least for you and Gator specifically. That said, you guys also have also played in hybrid teams pretty much all your career. So, I guess a two-part question. The first one is, how's your Korean? And second one is, how is integration going generally?
um the language thing is a work in progress. I mean, like that's like something that like I feel like it can only get better as time goes on. Like it's not something that can just get worse. Like you don't just like start like losing those skills. You only gain those skills. It's not like you get like washed up in your language like skills. Like you might get someone could get washed up in their like skills, like but I feel like uh language is improving. Like before I started taking lessons, I was just doing like Duolingo and it's like learning the alphabet. But I think my main focus is just like learning stuff that people say in game, not like um conversation. Like that comes, but like the biggest part is just like knowing what's going on in game, so you're not like just spinning around in circles trying to figure out what to do. And um I'd say it's probably like a good like 70-30 mix when we do scrim, but um the scrims have kind of been scuffed on in because it's like a hard ball monkey meta, so like you don't just want to put me in like just to put me in on like 200 ping at like 3 a.m. So that's kind of rough. And sometimes you try forcing other heroes, but I feel like those two heroes are just so good right now, and it just like um maybe Doom is good, but I'm not playing the hero on ping. Um but yeah, that's just uh I feel like it's going well. Like it can only get better. Like that's my opinion. I don't know.
For sure. I think that the elephant in the room. Okay, I excuse me for the next two questions that will have a certain Reddit taint, but I think this one is from the outside a pretty rational one because you guys will be starting. Like if you start, that's still 4 Korean players against one guy that isn't fluent in Korean yet, and that has some effect on communication that you then need to make up in skill, right, over your direct counterpart or whoever you could have picked up against. Is that like a concern, and do you generally like think you will be starting for the majority of the tanks?
Mm, Probably for the majority of them, be honest. Besides like the main tank niche, or maybe like I don't like I would still like if it's a one Koth map and you play D.Va on two Koth maps, you play Monkey in one. I guess I would still play that Koth map, but but yeah, I don't really know where the meta is gonna be. Like right now, it's just like I don't see myself playing that much right now because the meta is just Monkey and Ball. But with the midseason patch coming up soon, I don't know if that'll change. There's less stages and there's less patches this year, so you might just get unlucky for months on end. But hopefully they do something right, and there's actually like choice or play styles to choose on each map. And yeah, I hope I answered the question.
For sure. Now there was another thing on Reddit, and I think one might know that I dabble in the scrimbux, and that one was a little bit weird to me because apparently the rumor was that you guys weren't doing well in scrims, and that like the pickup of Donghak was a result of you guys not doing well, and that you're currently swimming, even though I mean on paper you should be one of the best teams in the league. So what about these scrim rumors?
Mm, well, that's just not true. Like I didn't scrim. We did tryouts. Our first day of scrims, we were doing tryouts because it was just like it was just effective to do that because we knew like what the meta would be, and we knew we wanted to get another tank player for a while, but we just finally found a time to do it like early. I think it was early February. Yeah, it was early February, and then I guess that really started like uh when like Boston got two tanks. That wasn't really the big one. The big one was when Shock got two tanks. That was the big one. Like when two off tank players are like going against each other, like drunk driving on ball, um, you kind of can manage that. But like when one team gets a specialist like that, like jump in, like you have to match their tempo. Like you're not gonna be able to beat that. Like it's really not. Um, like I could literally put in 8 hours a day and it just wouldn't matter. Like it honestly just wouldn't matter because the stylistic difference of just like the the KR server just playing like even just ranked. Like those guys just play like mobile heroes, but like for the majority of the offseason, people just like playing the tanky heroes on NA server and just sitting in the objective, and you can't really get them off the objective. Like people just played Hog, people played Orisa, people played a little Ramattra, but no one really played Ramattra. I don't think on like the KR server. Like they don't even. I don't think they even thought it was like decent when it came out, or when he was buffed. So yeah, just a stylistic difference. Like it's just carried over from Overwatch One. Like those guys just like playing the mobile heroes, so their practice is more efficient. Like the years leading up to this have been more efficient. They just have more playtime in the hero.
Right. Wrecking Ball has an interesting position in Overwatch, I feel like, because I don't think like one tricks are practically dead, right? And
Yeah.
even like being very strong, I would say like in Overwatch League there aren't even that many players where you could say like they have an insane ball in comparison to like well stacked roles, right? I think they're vastly more good monkey players than they are ball players and whatnot. And even on other roles, like there are a lot of specialists that still are pretty flexible. So it seems like, and you're not the only one suffering from this. We heard Kalush talk about it as well. Ball is a very special hero. What makes him so different?
I feel like he doesn't have like many transferable skills. Like you don't want to like a lot of time you just don't want to shoot your gun. You kind of just want to like get in and out. Um, kind of just need to know your limits, even though you have so much HP. Like if you just know your limits, you know you can't die. But you also know we can get away with like, and you also just know like the text that like just don't transfer to any other heroes. Like you're just gonna get the max value at all times, and it's just like really oppressive, especially right now. It is really oppressive right now. Like every time I watch Dog Hack, I'm like, there's just no way he's getting away with this, and he's just like he's actually just dominating. Like I actually was like, I'm like, just don't even put me in to play like D.Va because like I'm just like I don't have an ultimate on D.Va. I have to get nanoed to like do anything on D.Va for playing that, and it just like just let this guy just roar on the map, and because like he just like has like a third eye for these grapples. Like I don't understand. Like I'm assuming it's like probably the same thing with Junmin as well. Like and there like many other like ball like players, but the good thing is that he doesn't just play ball. Like I think he's really good at monkey, and um I think like he's got like I think he's only gonna get better too. He's like so young, and I don't get impressed easily, like, but I get impressed when I see him play ball. Like I'm like, what? I just what the hell is like, what the hell is that? Like I don't know.
For sure. Now this leads nicely into the balance discussion because I was trying to figure out like, is this a cope take? I think Kalush said like they are not even sure if ball is that good. It's mostly maybe a rank thing. Like it's probably not going to hold up in competitive once everyone starts scrimming very heavily. Do you think like ball is too strong even in competitive right now?
I'm not sure because we are scrimming like majority of APAC teams, and some of them might be doing tryouts or something, or like um people haven't really fully figured out the meta. But I feel like it is. Like I feel like it's good. Like I feel like just like substituting Winston for ball in like the Kiriko rush is like really good, and he's good in other scenarios too. Because he just like doesn't die. Like, he just always has permanent uptime. You have more resources to give to your Soja and your Tracer, and the ult is like really like annoying now to play against. But it could just be that people haven't really tried to counter it, and we get to NA, we get to a patch or you start scrimming NA teams and they start playing like a different thing. But I personally feel like it's good at the moment, but I'm not sure. Like it might just be like two like sides of delusion. I don't know how to like to describe it.
What if it's not ball? Is there anything that seems too strong or maybe like just has a broken gameplay loop in terms of the tanks? Is there anything that like okay, even if we figure out ball is not it, that could be really annoying once we start the season?
Mm, I was thinking Ramattra, but I feel like he's pretty bad now. I thought he was good when he had his like infinite ult, but like I'm not even sure he was that good then. If you were playing against like mobile heroes, um, I feel like D.Va's like pretty flawed in Overwatch too. Like I wish they would like take some of her matrix away and like give her back her speed and her spread, but and her like do something to her ult. Like her ult probably that's like farms like the metal ranks, but I actually think her ult is just awful. Like in high ranks now. Like it used to be like it'd be like an art, like oh wow, I got a nice D.Va bomb, let's set this up. But like now, just like okay, well I'll just remech here, and hopefully the remech is actually the ultimate somehow for some way, or you guys just like bot out and walk into your bomb. So um, I don't know. Like I feel like ball's like maybe too good, maybe I'm not sure. Um, probably just revert one or two of his changes. Um, but
Which changes would you make to ball?
I don't really know. Yeah, like I don't. I feel like probably reduce some of the shields he got. Maybe only give him like 100. I don't know how much he has. I actually don't know on the top of my head, but I think his ult is kind of broken out too. Like it's pretty uncounterable against if you're playing some heroes, like they just can't get out of it. And um, I don't know, like he feels like his like slam is always up now too. It's, even though you're not always slamming, it just like people just get the max. Like not many people can get the max value out of it, but some when people do, like it really, really like I'm just like there's no way this guy's alive right now, just putting up this much pressure while not having to get like healed.
Makes sense, yeah. Now, you talked about Ramattra, and I think in core design, it's a hero that like tries to play defensively in normal mode, and then when he switches, like it's supposedly that you then get aggressive and almost have like your mini monkey moment, but
Hmm.
in effect, like at least like when we saw it played previously in competitive play, where it was played, it was all defensive unless you had ult, and then it was like super lame because they were just like holding corners or like with like protect up, you know, like the right click
Yeah.
on. Do you think that would be the best gameplay loop, or is it would better Ramattra players not fall to that, and it could be fun in competitive?
I just think like he has like a damage cap almost. Like when you like go and like when you're like shooting his gun, like you could do decent damage like at range. You have some good poke. You just like aim high level, like have good tracking. But like when you like go in Nemesis for him, like you have like a damage cap. Like you can't. There's only so much damage you can do. There's only so much distance you can like cross against good players. So I actually don't know how good he is at doing that. Um, I can't really tell because you can't really farm his ult anymore either because it just takes too long. Like the get support ult's faster than you get your ult now. So um, I'm not sure. I'm still on the fence about him. I think he's pretty bad at the moment, but he could just be good in a different scenario. I don't know.
Sure. What about the like the bread and butter tanks? Like, okay, you mentioned Winston is meta or is played, I guess, in a couple of situations. The like Ryan sort of moved into this niche pick situation where it's almost like a pocket pick for some teams, but really
Mhm.
hasn't entrenched as meta in Overwatch 2 yet. Like, what about those main tanks from Overwatch 1? Like, are they competitive? Will we see them a little bit in terms of like, okay, fair. We don't have the final panels patch yet, but where are they at right now?
Not really many people played Orion. I don't think anyone's played Orion that much when we've been scrimming because it's the APAC region, so they don't really play like
Right.
Orion there. That's not what they want to like force. So I think Orion could be good, but I just think Monkey's just like a good example of like an Overwatch 2 like tank. I feel like I feel like Doom is pretty good, even though he got like kind of like neutered throughout his like cycle. He's not too bad right now. I think he's pretty, like he's actually an option. Like I think he's pretty good. Um, he's like a glass cannon version of like Winston and Ball, but uh, I feel like just D.Va like just struggles to like have her identity because they want people like I don't know. I feel like D.Va is like the main like die tank that like just struggles like on paper she's broken. She's like 4 seconds of matrix, but like if you're peeling like you've lost the map control. Like but you could also like box the enemy team. It's just weird. Like I don't know. It's just weird. Like it should some heroes just have not like some heroes just like are gonna be worse at any given time, which is kind of annoying, but that's just the nature of 5v5, I guess.
For sure. Is D.Va at all solvable or salvageable in Overwatch 2, or does she need help maybe with a redesign of the ultimate or something like this?
I think something their role and probably like I see people like complaining about D.Va like saying, "Oh wow, she's 4 seconds of Matrix," and I agree. Like I don't think she should have 4 seconds of Matrix. I think that's pretty unfun to play against. I think that's not really like a good thing to have because when it is meta, it's not fun to play against at all. Like you don't want to get shut down for 4 seconds where you just can't shoot your gun, can't heal anybody. Um, so I think they should like look at the balance between matrixing and being like a diver, and probably do something with the ult in 5v5, at least for high level. I don't know how good it is in low level.
Right. Keyword no fun. I feel like that's something that is probably where the community opinion is probably spot on, at least to me. Whenever Roadhog is meta, that's that's when Overwatch almost exclusively is not the most fun. Is has Roadhog worked as an Overwatch 2 tank so far, or is he just like in dire need of a redesign as well?
He just needed a redesign. Like he was like unkillable for that like month span where people were just they nerfed Doom and they just wanted Roadhog to just like they wanted to wait a month to fix him when they could just like reduce some numbers and then fix them and then fix them again. But in the future, what they're doing, but um, yeah, he's not really a healthy tank. He's not really a tank. That's another tank that has like zero transferable skills. Like you see a Roadhog player, you see him play another hero, like they just have zero transferable skills at all. They're not actually playing tank. They're just playing Roadhog. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Is he power crept is definitely the wrong word, but it feels like at least as a tank hero of sorts, Junkerqueen worked a little bit better, even though not for the greatest reason initially when she stepped into the scene. What's is there a niche for Junkerqueen, or is she ever like currently with the current design always destined to either be super busted or not used at all?
I think she's some problems against Kiriko, but I feel like Ryan, Ramattra, and like Queen are like in the same like subclass, like of just like they kind of have their ups and downs of like the weaknesses at any given time. But I feel like those are like the hero, or and like those are the heroes you play like on those like control centers on those like close quarters maps potentially. And um, yeah, I think she's fine, but um, I think they probably should like do something to her role. Like I think her role like is a little too serious. I don't know, that's not the right word, but like it's just too like extreme. Like it's either you fully anti someone because they don't have a Kiriko, or you don't. Like I think it should be like I don't know. Sometimes it can feel useless, but sometimes it just feels like completely overpowered, just due to like a rock paper scissors mechanic that they said they wanted to move away from, but they didn't move away from it. It's just like more prevalent than ever.
There was one keyword in there, I think, where a lot of people in the competitive community agree that changes a little or a lot how this game plays, and it's Kiriko. She hasn't been touched for the longest time, it feels like, or like not sufficiently. She's been dominating ever since. It's also a little like, especially like the heavy heal meta was not necessarily how I envisioned the hero to be when I first saw the kit, and arguably is therefore also not as fun as it was advertised to be. So both from a gameplay experience perspective, but also from in what ways she's too good, almost like in a broken sense. Is the she salvageable, or is it a numbers tweak issue, or is it an issue where some abilities just need to change?
Mm, I think it's like a numbers issue between her dash and her cleanse that also heals, that also makes you not a targetable player. But I just think the main issue is that like in the past, like say you want like full int or like full heal bot, like you kind of have to like worry about like where your supports are on the map. But like if you're playing like a dive tank, you don't actually have to like worry about like LSing like Kiriko. Like she's gonna be there and she's gonna probably gonna be doing more than anyone ever would be like on Anna or on Mora. So like it kind of like breaks like the rush. Like you can like launch across the map and still like get healed. In fact, you'll get so much value just by her being next to you. She might get like a headshot and just randomly, oh, you've done 120 damage to someone you just didn't think you would. And her like cooldown cycle, people are being so good at it recently. Like even just like ranked players, like it's like damn, this player is hard to kill, like really hard to kill. Um, they start using the wall climb, just like get a couple space. They use some of their tanks cooldowns, like draw a couple seconds out. They Zeus at the last second somebody because it's just such a big AOE, and then they just get out again because the dash has such a low cooldown. So I think it maybe shouldn't make you immortal. It should maybe just be like an Anonade and they cleanse you, maybe. And then if that's not enough, probably add like a second or two on her dash because it's just too much right now. I feel like they finally got away from like the heal botting because like heal botting was just broken. Like I feel like heal botting in a lot of meta is never much too. It's just like the only way to play. Like you just heal your tank, and if you don't heal your tank for a couple seconds, like you just probably like lost the fight because you wanted to go for like some extra value that wasn't enough. So um so yeah, I don't know. I feel like she's just like kind of flawed that way. Like I don't really care about her win rate. I don't really care about what people are saying her win rate through bronze to GM. Like I think she's a problem in pro play, but I know they don't probably think that's an issue, or they don't know it yet. And I think that she's unfun to play against, like very unfun to play against.
Right. Are you also a proponent of like just strictly saying like the game should be balanced for pro play first and foremost, and then we can figure out everything else? Or where do you stand on that?
I think it should be balanced for pro play, but I don't think the fun factor should be because of pro play. Like I think a hero should be fun for everybody that want to get better. And I think they should be okay with saying, okay, this hero is not going to be that good. Like these players need to, like these hero, like you need to be good at the game to be good at this hero. Like a lot of games do that. Like I play a champ in league, and I'm like, okay, this champ is OP in higher ranks, but I'm just not skilled enough to play at this rank. Like that's okay. Like you don't need to like lower the skill floor to make me feel better for being bad. Like I need to get better to be able to play that champ. So I feel like they should be okay at doing that, but I also feel like a hero should still be like fun, like to play, like a new hero, especially if it's like the content of the game. It still needs to be fun for most ranks, if that makes sense. But I really don't think there's a meta for majority of the players. Like these guys will pick just whatever they want. They'll pick Ana every game because they think Ana's fun. They'll pick Ryan every game, or at least in Overwatch 1, people pick Ryan. Like no one really picked. I remember playing on like Smurf accounts, like ranking them up back in the day. Like people weren't playing goats to all ranks. People were just like over exaggerating, like how like prevalent it was. So there really isn't a meta. Like I guarantee the most casual players wouldn't know that you just change a couple numbers most of the time. To be honest, like, and that might mean so much for the pro scene, but it might just mean like barely anything for the casual scene because they probably don't even know. They don't even know like they don't even know why something's broken. They just die to it and like okay, well maybe they don't even think it's broken. You know, they just think it's annoying to play against, which could be true for their rank because they don't understand the game yet. You gotta keep them playing, but you don't have to like um, artificially make them feel good, like give them dopamine just for doing nothing.
Right. Now there's another issue, and it's in most ways it's a positive one, but we're of course like now in the cycle once again. We were already last season, but this season we already know that heroes will be hitting during this season, and it seems that at least initially, once heroes launch, they start out a little bit better than this probably warranted
I'm
for the
really
pro.
worried about these next few heroes. Like I don't know anything about them, but I just know the supports. I just think they might just be breaking the game. Like there's a good chance one of these two, just like a Brig 2.0, and they just don't nerf it quick enough. To be honest, um, that's like worst case scenario. To be honest, just kills the game. They just don't nerf it quick enough. They don't see the problem with it. Oh yeah, the win rates are fine. No, the win rates are not fine. Like or the win rates are fine, but the game is not fine. It's not fun. So I really hope they're being careful about that. And most of the time in the last year when they've released the hero, like it just hard it forced like a hard mirror, like a hard 4 heroes you have to play with it, or 4 or 5 heroes you play with it, and then that's what you stick with. You don't swap. So I'm a little worried about that. Um, I think if you line up the patches, it's like for playoffs and it's for like stage one, there'll be a new hero, or the first half of the season. So maybe we'll have a nice balanced patch for the second half of the season, just to throw away everything for the playoffs. But I don't know. Um, we'll see.
What do you think about the general design approach? Because I remember talking to Ganba, and he felt like we're now over designing and over engineering these new heroes. Like while Overwatch 1 heroes, I guess in the most extreme way, like Cassidy was point and click, and then two abilities that weren't that excessive. And now you have heroes that come in and like they can do everything. Like they're over kitted in terms of like Kiriko's one ability does 6 things, but she also has multiple abilities, and then also has this modifier here on her kit and whatnot. So, what do you think about the general design? Is that good for the game, but just the execution could be improved, or should it be more simplistic?
I just think the mechanics should be more fair, but I think complex heroes are like kind of cool. I actually thought Ramattra was gonna be a lot cooler than he actually turned out to be because they said like oh he's gonna have a stance swap. Like I'm like okay well they're gonna like it's gonna be like a league champ. Like they'll remove his Q, they'll remove his ult, and then he'll have 3 separate abilities per stance. But no, they just decided to only give him one extra ability per stance swap with the same ult, and I thought that was like why not go the whole way? Just make it like a full like complex hero. But there's also scenarios like Sojourner where she just completely kit caps, like she kit capped the entire like hit scan roster for like almost the entire year. Um, so that's also an issue too, and they're just also putting like a million like buffs and like debuffs on like abilities, which I think doesn't make it actually fun. Like it just makes it like useful. Um, but yeah, I feel like to get people playing the game, you need new mechanics, like when they like for the content for the new heroes. But it needs to just be fair. Like it just needs to be like, okay, well, you're just in the drawing room. You're just like drawing up these heroes, like other abilities. Like, okay, is that fair to play against? And if the answer's like that could be unfun, like there needs to be like a serious discussion. I don't know. Like I really do feel like Kiriko's cleanse is just not fun to play against. Like it's just not. There's Brig Bash was not fun to play against in Overwatch One. Lamp with it's like 250 HP, whatever it had. I don't know how much it had. Like probably like 200. That was not fun to play against. Um, launch Sigma was not fun to play. They're just like obvious things. They're just like not fun to play against, and um, even like the balance changes. I remember like playtesting season two. I'm like I got on. What the hell did they do? I'm like, what is this? Like they're just gonna nerf him to the ground. It's like I know what no Doom player asked for this because it was just so broken. I was like, yeah, this is gonna get nerfed in 2 weeks, and then he's gonna be worse. He's literally gonna be worse than he was before. He's gonna be worse than he was before in season one. And that's exactly what happened. I remember typing it out like, this is too much. Do not do all this. Like, and it just I mean, yeah, I still believe he is worse than he was in season one right now. Like, I think he's worse because they decided to rebuff him and actually like kind of like change his gameplay loop for probably the worst in my opinion.
Right. Now, this brings me to an interesting point because for a while there were a couple of teams during the season. I think you guys were one, Houston definitely with Dante, that really gained from Doom being good. I think Washington would probably also say that that's one of their stronger heroes in that time. And then I heard some counter currents in terms of like, okay, all these teams are trying to like say the balance here is off, and like they just want to change the game, so they are once again like in meta and whatnot. Is there a line between like suggesting changes that like can you really be unbiased in terms of like your feedback if you have more at least a little bit of an impact by being in the developer's ear and going like, please buff my hero?
Um, I feel like I was pretty unbiased sometimes, but I do feel like he was unjustly nerfed. Like the reasoning for completely removing the slow and the slam and then just not touching him like for the rest of the season kind of like sealed the fate of like the playoff patch, to be honest, like before it even happened. Um, you kind of just like saw how like the tank that was good for playoffs is literally just the one that played best in Kiriko's ult, pretty much, to be honest. And you didn't have the slow on Doom. Like Doom, in my opinion, was pretty close to being like playable. And I think if he was a stage 2 state, he would have been playable in playoffs. But they just decided that to not touch him for 6 months and then overbuff him. And it was just kind of frustrating because like obviously I'm biased. I obviously wanted Doom to be like a viable pick to playoffs, but there was just no choice. Like it was just obvious that there was no choice besides to play Monkey if you really, really want to win. Like you could like play Doom, but I don't know if I'm answering the question, but yeah, like um myself and other players are biased, but like I just thought he was unjustly nerfed and they just never gave a good reasoning, and um it just seemed like they weren't even playing the same game like majority of players were, because I don't feel like many people were complaining about Doom. Like no one was complaining about Doom before he got nerfed. Or people like, I mean, there's other teams that say that X hero needs to be nerfed or this needs to be nerfed because it doesn't favor them. Like say a team doesn't have Lucio, like a good Lucio rush team, they want Lucio nerfed or some shit, or they don't have double flex support, they want like Zen 225 HP nerfed. But but yeah, like my experience was the Doom one, and I just thought it was just unjust and kind of like limited options throughout the rest of the season because they wanted to do that.
Right. It feels like in many ways, and I'm sure like there's not much intentionality. I don't think developers care to that point about the Overwatch League, but unfortunately the the game and when patches hit and how they're deployed and everything like that has direct impact on the competitive scene. And I remember like one of the worst situations being, in my opinion, like how little time you guys had to prepare for playoff metas. Theoretically, this is once again the Overwatch League said they designed the schedule around the releases. I think that's fair enough. I still think there are big question marks in terms of the season format and theoretically incoming patch cycles. If you have like a stage that lasts, 8 matches or whatever, and you have to deploy a balance patch in the middle of it, I'm not sure if you like both options of saying we're not updating and now we're away from the live client and, people don't really feel what it's like to play against the Zeros in their own games, but also saying like we're updating now. None of those options are great, right? So how do you think about the timing of season changes, how they work in tandem with the season format?
I think it would be better if there wasn't like a playoff patch. Like it was just like the stage with the last stage patch going into that but at least not a new hero. A new hero is too much, I feel like. A new hero just has usually just broken the game, to be honest, for too long. And the game was like this last year, the game wasn't even out yet. I feel like the only real like champion, like it's gonna sound bad, but I feel like the only like real champion for like the season it was like 2021. Like Shanghai was just like there wasn't many balance patches. They just like played the same shit the entire year, and they showed the playoffs, and they're still the best, and they won. They were the best team at the meta because the game was pretty much dead. They didn't care about balancing the game anymore. But if you really think about it, like um, season one had a massive balance change. I'm pretty sure. If anyone was brave enough to play Ghost season one, they probably just would have won the entire thing. To be honest, with how broken the game was. And then season two, that's sick,
Big
but it
one.
was still like the same like rush kind of thing. Like the teams that were good at rush were still good because it was like goats before then. Season three, you probably see a different champion. To be honest, the Roadhog is not meta. Um, that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You might see a completely different champion, and then this season as well. Like if the season flipped and the season ends on mid-season madness meta, like you might see a different champion. Like you might see Goliath or Shock or other teams win the entire league because of that. So I just feel like people don't put enough weight into seeing, okay, well this guy just got the patch. These guys got the patch. Because I don't feel like it's that big of a deal in other esports, but in ours, I feel like it really is. Like they just got their patch. They're just going to dominate. But to be fair, Dallas did dominate for the second half of the season because it was like mostly just Junkerqueen Rush, and then it turned into Zarya Rush, and then it turned into Monkey Rush, and then it was pretty much the same kind of play style. But um, yeah, I think a lot of things is patch dependent. But so you want to build like the best team that's like patch resistant. But at the same time, there's still going to be teams that are just like that's their patch, they're going to win, and it's a shake up,
For sure. I asked the Toronto guys on their feedback of the season format. One thing that always came back is like not enough tournaments. It's really sad that they don't get to play in front of crowds because that really reinvigorates them. I reached out to a bunch of insiders. It also seems like that aspect is definitely gone. What do you think generally about the season format and how what would you change basically?
I think there's a lot of teams still committing to the league, and there's a lot of teams spending money. I think it's pretty criminal that some fans or some teams will just not play on stage until September because that honestly just might get scammed. Like they might just like I don't think someone plays a weak team and they get a good schedule, but like and they just don't make it because of that, like the knockouts. But I feel like it's happened before in 2021 or in years prior. If the knockouts aren't double elim for the one tournament, um, one team might play Shock, one team might play, what I'm talking about, and then they might be on the same side of the bracket, and then um, they have to play each other, and one of them has to go home, and these teams might actually deserve to go to Mid-Season Madness, but they don't because of that. So I really hope at least they make a double elim. But overall season format, it kind of is disappointing. Like personally, I don't really, I really don't. I feel like they're like splitting the budget between. I don't know this. Like this is just like how I'm seeing. Like they're splitting the budget between like World Cup and like the league, and there's just not enough tournaments. Like, um, that's where like all the hype is at. That's where everything's on the line. All these tournaments, and um, I just wish that there was more of them. Like I just wish there's more of them. That's like if you gave this format to Call of Duty players, they would not be happy at all. Like this is just like it's like I'm gonna be honest. Like it's a really poor format. And I feel like a lot of people see that, or they don't see it yet, and they will see it soon, and they're gonna be like really disappointed. People might I see this, and I think, wow, this is like almost like as bad as like the the COVID season. To be honest, like that's how I see it. Like it's just like okay, like this is like 2020. Like it just like it really doesn't like I haven't really felt like oh man, like is this the last year? Like is this it? Like is this our last chance? Is my last chance to win? And after seeing the format, I had doubts. Like I'm like this might be the last year. Like this might be the end. And that sounds bad, but that is how I feel. Like I'm just gonna be honest. It just feels like there's not enough teams going to the mid-season madness, not enough tournaments, and even for the ProAm, like it's pretty low prize pool, like as well. Like it doesn't really like draw numbers, and um, I really don't care about regular season. I mean, I care about as a viewer, I don't care about regular season games. As a player, I care about regular season games, but I just know viewers like would rather, and viewers and sponsors would rather like see like matches, like tournament matches on LAN. Like it draws hype, it draws like advertising to the game, and I really just feel like they completely have not done that. They don't see it that way for some reason, and I think it's very poor. And I think um, it's going to be a problem.
For sure. Do you think the Pro-Am should have had more incentives for like Overwatch League teams to care about them? So like that they actually show up, because I feel like for the fact that we're starting in 3 weeks, scrims are not to on full load yet. Like nobody's really running 3 blocks to that extent. Or nobody, I won't say that, but like it feels like it's just slowly starting and everyone's like waking up. We're not in absolute practice mode, which seems to imply to me that nobody's taking it overly serious, or only a very few teams. And it almost seems like the teams that are technically at the lower end of the skill distribution try to get like a lucky break there and like count on the better teams not taking it as seriously. So like is the incentive structure just wrong there?
I was thinking in the past that maybe I should add like 1 or 2 league points for winning, but I feel like that's kind of unfair. There's only going to be 8 games
Right.
leading into the season. Uh, I feel like the prize pool just might not be big enough to make people want to try like really, really hard. Like obviously we're gonna try our hardest. It's like, but we don't have the patch right now, and
Right.
the patch for stage 1 is gonna have probably a new hero. Like if the
Yep.
release of season 4 is like at that time, so we don't really like people are trying right now, but no one's like really like oh my god, I gotta win this $1 million tournament. Like it's just not like no one's. I don't feel like people see it like that. I feel like the contenders team see it like okay, this is our chance to like play against all teams. But I maybe upset a couple teams, but um, I still feel like it's like um, it just feels like it just feels loose. Like I've just noticed that like people just like everything just feels like a little more loose this year. Like I see people like scrimming with like open lobbies, like you could just join them sometimes just randomly. Like obviously you don't, but like people are like not like, oh my god, we gotta lock down our scrim. Like people are leaking like scrim codes, like it just seems like a little more like just like goofy and silly and just like just loose. I don't know.
Yeah, makes sense. One thing that struck a chord with me is you said if this was Call of Duty and they gave those players that season format, that would be a very different reception by pro players overall, right? Like they would definitely be using their social media platforms in order to mobilize the fan base against this. It seems like the pro players really don't share feedback like that. Have they just been beaten into submission? Like for you, for instance, I remember you had some criticism towards the the Hawaii situation where the fourth place wouldn't get a point, and that effectively just gave you a competitive disadvantage because you didn't have that break, right? And the fallout from that was just like it felt like the community didn't take kindly to that, and also let you know that like you seem to be the complaining one. Is this something that just like turned you off sharing feedback publicly? Because from what I heard, you still very much do it in internal channels, right?
Yeah, it kind of like maybe like if that happened again today, I would not share publicly. But it did make a change. Like let's be honest, like it actually did make a change next year. Like just typing in Discord channels doesn't make a change most of the time. Um, I kind of like I could have said it better and I could have said it more like mature way now that but I just feel like I don't know like I've just gone past that. I don't really like tweet out my feedback anymore. Like it just like it opens up too much. It just opens up too much. It's just too. It's just like unnecessary stress. Like I'm just trying to win the league. I'm not trying to argue with people on Twitter all day because it's just pointless. Like it's just like Twitter's not a place. Like it's not a place. It's just just an app. I don't know.
That can like,
And
change apparently, right?
it can make change apparently. And they did take my feedback, but I felt like they took it to the extreme. Like they gave all 8 teams a point instead of just like the teams that were obviously the top four or top two in their region. I don't know, but that's just my opinion. But now I guess they've just like if like right now if I tweet it's like, oh yeah, I don't think the format is very good. Like this needs to be changed, and I'm surprised more people have not said anything in Discord. But I feel like people agree. Every time I talk to them, has agreed, but they just haven't said anything in Discord because they just kind of like I feel like people are kind of just like, yeah, like we can't really do much about this anymore. Like they'll just do what they want to do, and there's some things that we've gotten changed over the years. I guess the most recent one was some people were really not happy about the conditions last year for the midseason tournament. Um, just the desks and everything, just like setup, and some things can be changed, but I just feel like I think it's not too late to add teams to midseason. I feel like it's like oh yeah, surprise, like we're adding like one team from APAC, 2 teams from NA, like we're making it, I don't know, or whatever would be an actual like logical like solution. But I don't know. I've been kind of drawn off from just like tweeting. I don't really like living the public life, and like maybe I wanted that in the past, but now I don't really want that. I kind of just like living um more low key, and if I have anything, I'll just vent in the server. That'll probably not be seen, but it could be more effective because there has been stuff that there has been stuff that I've literally like seen my suggestion be put into the game, like which is cool, like um which is really cool. But I think recently, like since like the game has launched and it's not been in beta or an alpha, like there's a lot less being taken into consideration. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
How much responsibility lies with the pro players here? Because there's two things that could change, which is first, you guys come together and everyone goes to Twitter and mobilizes the fan base against, because like virtually every player, or not every, but very many, you know, at least from a Western audience, like that would mobilize a fan base. Or the other thing is, I've also seen those channels, and currently the feedback has left the sphere of constructive, right? Even though I will say I understand the emotional perspective. If a lot of people hammer on the same point and nothing changes, that is frustrating. That will probably exacerbate the tone of these channels. But there's also maybe something to be said about the productivity of the tone. So where's the pro player responsibility in this? And like, is there a realistic chance that anything changes there?
I feel like most of the complaints recently have just been, and the feedback recently have just been like, why is the ranked mode so bad? And people have just been hammering that home, like, why is ranked so bad? Like, why was it changed just for the sake of change? Like, it's just not better than it was in Overwatch 1. So I feel like that is probably, no one's really talking about balance recently. Mostly just like, why is ranked so awful? Like, why is it such a miserable experience? Why, like, I remember, like, I was like, it's just disrespectful to assume that players that just start playing the game should be in a lobby of like players that are like almost 7 years experience now. They've had 7 years of mastering the game and just stomp after stomp. And I feel like um there is like a good like I feel like in the past it has been respectful. For most time it has been respectful. Like people have just been like let's have a conversation. But I feel like just recently it's just been um people are just kind of like exhausted, like how long it takes for like simple bugs to get fixed, or just like you see like a dev blog and it's just like the complete opposite of what uh every single like player in there is thinking. What is like like what is some people just like don't know what's going on. Like it's just like there doesn't seem like be like a open communication anymore. And I guess it's at fault of both parties in my opinion. But um yeah, I don't know where I'm going, but um I really there just needs to be like a reset. I think it probably will get better when the season starts and people like they start doing like more like I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna talk about it because I don't know if I can, but yeah, I don't know.
Fortunately, I feel like once the season starts, that's when the community will wake up to the structural issues that we have with some of the scheduled stuff. And
Yeah, I
then
remember I typed something like 10 minutes after like I saw the schedule. I'm like this is gonna be a problem. Like uh and I don't know. I just feel like more people should have saw it and kind of like they're going to see it and they're going to be like, oh wow, and then all these owners are going to be like, oh my god, I spent so much money on this roster and I just can't see them play till September. Like like I don't know. Like I feel like people should be like I legitimately feel like people every day should be like, okay, let's add some teams to this midseason madness. Let's make this special because most of the time, from my knowledge, that the teams have paid for their own like teams like travel. Like it's not even like um maybe I don't know. I'm not gonna get into logistics. I don't know 100%, but like
I think
I feel like
there
it
is a
shouldn't be.
stipend that helps. It's my
There's
latest
something that
information.
helps, but like yeah, but like I just feel like it shouldn't be that difficult just to add more teams to the midseason madness and make it more like just make it more meaningful. Like make it like a this is the first half of the season champion. Like this is it. Um, but I guess they want to put more prevalence on World Cup, which is that's cool. Like personally, I'm not that interested. Like I want to win the league. I'm not really interested in World Cup. Like the league is more important to me. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like more people should be saying something, but I guess I should be saying something public too. But I just don't. I'm just not there anymore. Like that's just not me anymore. I don't know.
I mean, you're here right now, so
I
that's
mean, I'm here right
something.
now, but like I'm not gonna go like because I only have so many characters on Twitter to say something. Like people like I don't know, but I'm saying it right now, but I can say it in like more a better way and more thoughtful way and more like respectful way than I can in a tweet. I feel like so. Um, yeah, I just think they should add more teams. And I think there should have been more tournaments, but that's too late for that. But it's not too late to add more teams, in my opinion, or at least make the like the knockouts double elim if they are not. I don't know if they are or not. And in the past they've been single elim, but I guess for play-ins last year they're double elim. So hopefully they take from that. But I don't know. Like I don't know. I really just hope. I just hope something is done right. Like I just hope it's done right.
For sure. Do you mentioned the World Cup? Will you be competing for the spot on your role?
Mm, I've thought about it a lot, and personally, right now, like I'm not really wanting to be honest. Like I don't have like I want to like I'll put everything I can into the season. Like I want to do everything I can to win the season. And um, you lose like a break. You lose a break doing the online qualifiers in the middle of the season, and um, I just feel like I don't want it as badly as other players do to play in the World Cup. Like I want to win this. I want to win the all season. Like that is where my head is at. And um, yeah, maybe that might change in the next few weeks, but that's just where I've been leaning. And just personally, like I'm not that interested almost at all, like currently. But that might change, but it might not. I think it probably won't. But I don't know. I'm kind of like I haven't really gone back and forth on it. Like I've been pretty like stern. Like I don't really. I want to focus on the season, and I want to enjoy my break after the midseason madness. I don't want to like I don't know. I hope you get what I'm saying.
For sure. Then we wish you the best of luck with the preparation, with those high goals. I think you have a great team this year. And we thank you for speaking out on these issues, and thank you for the interview.